In 2023, a crack commando unit of retro podcasters joined forces on a panel at LA Comic-Con, but were sent to Comic-Con jail for a crime they didn't commit. These men promptly escaped. Today, still wanted by 80s nerds, they are very easy to find. If you have an 80s nostalgia problem, if no one else can help, maybe you can hire the Night Boys.
All right, guys and gals, lovers of the 1980s, welcome back to another exciting episode of 80s Kids Unite. You saw the bat signal, you saw the Thundercats sword of omens, sight beyond sight. You came running, and hopefully you will be rewarded. As once again, 5 podcasts join together in one 80s nostalgic delight. We've got a little $2 late fee meets Podcasting After Dark, meets TV Obscura, meets Territory Marks. What is the other podcast? It's just 4?
I think it's just 4.
It's just 4? Oh, I've always said 5 podcasts unite, which
that's Voltron.
is completely wrong.
You were thinking of Voltron.
I've always thought of us like Voltron. You know what I mean? I've always thought of us like...
Well, all 4 combine and we become one. So there's your 5th.
All 4 podcasts combine, but we have 5 of us. We've got myself, we've got Zach, we've got Diallo, and we've got Sleazy C, a.k.a. Corey S. We do not have Paul London because... Paul isn't real, guys. I didn't know if...
It's a figment of our collective imagination.
This is kind of a weird surprise for a lot of you, but
He's AI.
We created Paul really just to kind of promote the podcast. We we came up with this idea of like an AI wrestler. And you might remember seeing matches and stuff. All that was real. That all happened. But we couldn't sustain Paul anymore. He was too expensive. To keep creating the computer power it was needed. So
too much computing power.
Too much computing power. It's a lot. He does a lot of crazy moves in the ring. So I'm sorry you have to find out this way, but this is the reality. And so it is the 4 of us, and we miss Paul, and we send love to him, and he did win the Compton Mania championship. And then, went out on a high note. But but over on $2 late fee, we're in the midst of martial arts madness, aren't we, Zach?
We sure are. And all month long, we're celebrating our love of 80s and maybe early 90s martial art movies, martial art moves, martial art wrestling, wrestlers, and all things martial arts.
Karate Men, would you say?
Karate Man.
Karate
yes.
Man.
Yeah. We will be doing a Territory Marks episode. Paul and I will be doing a Territory Marks episode devoted to martial arts. That'll be next week after this episode. But today...
Oh, you know what? Happy St. Patrick's Day, guys.
Oh, hey.
Luck of the Irish to you. I noticed we're all wearing green, and I didn't even acknowledge it. So we're all on the same page.
None of us get pinched.
So
like arrested?
Yeah,
you mean
not
arrested?
to interrupt
Don't
you.
get arrested?
Right. Don't get arrested.
Yeah, I thought that too.
Don't get pinched, Steve. Come on.
Diallo and I, same
Yeah.
wavelength. Same wavelength.
I literally was like, yeah.
They pinched
sorry,
me, see?
my head is in the 80s. And in the 80s, when you were wearing green at school, I don't know if they do it now, but when you're wearing green at school, if you didn't wear green, a kid would come up to you and be like, "Yeah, you get to get pinched because you're not wearing green."
I think you have to ask for consent now before
Yeah.
you
You
pinch.
should.
You'll get canceled immediately.
Yeah, immediately.
Should.
Yeah, but so on $2 late fee, we like to keep things thematic whenever possible. So we like to devote a month to a theme, and so the great thing about this particular show, 80s Kids Unite, is that all of our themes are from our patrons, both on $2 late fee and Podcasting After Dark, and so we thank you, patrons, for giving us a bunch of cool ideas. And so we threw out, hey, it's going to be Martial Arts Madness. What do you guys got for us? And we have settled today on a wonderful topic from our good buddy David Ullman, who said, guys, I'm wondering about martial arts moves, and specifically ones that you saw maybe in TV, movies, that you thought they were so cool, you wanted to do them so badly, but you just couldn't execute them. And in particular, he threw out the classic example of when a guy's knocked on his back and he does that quick push up right onto his feet. It's the coolest move probably in martial arts.
I believe it's called a kip up.
A kip up, yeah.
A kip up. Can you guys explain why it's called that?
Diallo.
Well, there is a gentleman by the name of Kip Purdue. He's an actor in Remember the Titans. I don't know.
Diallo,
I'll keep
I was
going.
actually
Diallo, keep going.
Yeah, you abandoned your own improv.
You had us all there. You had us.
we
You had
were
us.
riveted.
So riveted.
So it's not called a kick up, it's called a kip up.
Kip
It is
up.
called a
yeah,
kip up.
kip up. Yeah.
And nobody knows why.
I mean, I don't know why, but I remember seeing that. Diallo, I don't know about you, but I remember seeing that for the first time in professional wrestling. Not in a martial art movie or television show, but in professional wrestling, seeing that move where the guy pops up like Shawn Michaels, a.k.a. the Heartbreak Kid, back in the mid 80s, late 80s, early 90s.
No, I think the first time I saw it was a martial arts movie, like Bruce Lee or somebody might have done
Okay.
it. It was pretty cool. I remember being taught what it was called in like PE class, actually in high school, because we had to try to do it or something like that. And,
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your high school sounds cool.
Yeah, I mean, it was all right.
I mean, well, I guess I say that, but in retrospect, it's like it would be very embarrassing to just see an entire room full of high schoolers just flail. Like, can anybody do the kip up? But it would be that ultimate test of how cool you are, because you knock out a kip up in gym class.
Yeah, I mean, I graduated and vowed to never go back, so let's not talk.
So you didn't do the kip up.
I'm just kidding. It wasn't.
Is
that
what
time.
we've learned then.
Yeah, I couldn't do the kip up, couldn't show my face, and I left to walk the earth. And I've been wandering ever since.
like Kane.
Like Kane, yeah, like Kane, yeah.
Well, there was no way I could do a kip up when I was a kid because I was a fat kid growing up. So I knew I couldn't execute any karate move.
Right.
Any karate move?
I mean, I could probably do that. I could do the William Shatner, double fist, the one that he always does.
The William Shatner double fist.
Where he hits you in the back. Like, oh my God,
Yes.
everyone did that back in the day.
Yes.
Right. It's interesting to think back now about the presidential fitness tests, and certainly they were really important to Ronald Reagan for some reason, and I don't know why.
You had to get us ready to go to war, fight in the army.
Yeah,
That's why.
to fight the war on drugs, and but I felt a lot of pressure just being able to do however many sit-ups you could do, push-ups, pull-ups. If I had to do a kip up, I don't think I'd like that. Or maybe I would. Maybe I'd be able to do one now. I don't know.
I've tried many times and I'm unable to do it. I don't know the science. I didn't look deep into the science behind the kip up, but It's definitely a move that I wish I could have done.
Yeah, well, do your research, buddy. Do your research. I
Well,
did my own research. Do
David Ullman's the one who suggested the kip up, or said that was the one he wished he could do. David Ullman obviously is he's the one. David Ullman suggested the topic for this month. If you would like to suggest a topic for our show, go to patreon.com/podcastingafterdark or patreon.com/$2 late fee, or both, and suggest a topic, and we will give you copious shout outs like we did Magdalena in the last episode. Today, it's all about David, Martial Art Madness. His choice was the kip up. Do we all have selections? I'm happy to go first if
buddy.
you guys are cool with that.
Yeah, go first.
Because this actually was a really challenging one for me, because there's a lot of martial art moves I wish I could have done, which I couldn't do at all. But then I'm like, there's got to be one that looked so insanely hard for me to do. That has to be the one. 1989's Best of the Best. There's a lot of martial arts in that I feel like I could have probably done if I tried enough. But there's one movie in particular, 1986's No Retreat, No Surrender. We covered that movie on $2 late fee a couple years ago. And I have to tell you, there are quite a few moves in No Retreat, No Surrender that are challenging, to say the least. One of those moves in particular, and Kurt McKinney
I really hope you're going to say the ice cream bridge up.
Well, Dustin, because we covered that movie extensively, and we talked to Kurt McKinney from No Retreat, No Surrender, the lead actor in the film. And, of course, Jean-Claude Van Damme is in it. And there is an amazing scene where he's doing these inverted sit-ups with RJ sitting on his crotch eating a ice cream sandwich. It's in one of the most amazing GIFs you can find on the internet. That's not the move I wish I could have done.
Okay.
Because technically, Dustin, and you probably would agree with me on this, that's not a martial art move. That's simply an exercise move.
It's just a gay engagement.
Wow.
It is definitely.
It's real gay. Have you guys seen it? Listen.
Have you guys?
I have never seen No Retreat, No Surrender.
Okay, I'm not calling it gay in that 80s way where people would call things gay. It's like, it's very gay.
Sure.
It's literally
Not
very
that
gay.
there's anything wrong with that.
No,
Very
no.
happy.
Exactly.
No judgment. Diallo, have you seen the movie No Retreat, No Surrender?
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay,
Wow.
both of you. Wow, this is your homework for this weekend.
It's like the 80s. You're making me do homework. It's,
It's exactly this 80s nostalgia up the wazoo. You guys have to watch No Retreat, No Surrender. There are several montage scenes in this film where he's working out, the lead actor, Kurt McKinney. However, the move I'm going to specifically cite is in the final fight against Jean-Claude Van Damme. At one point...
Spoiler alert.
Sorry. Well, it's pretty obvious.
It's not, yeah.
At one point, Jason Stillwell, played by Kurt McKinney, who has been trained by the spirit of Bruce Lee, the ghost of Bruce Lee, and his friend RJ,
What is this
played
movie?
by J.W. Fails. RJ is a rapping, breakdancing neighbor / friend of his, who gives him some extra moves that Bruce Lee did not teach him. So at one point in this fight scene against Jean-Claude Van Damme, Jason Stillwell, played by Kurt McKinney, does a breakdancing spin-a-rooney on his back, and does a drop kick from the ground into Jean-Claude Van Damme's chest, knocking him back. That is my move. A breakdancing spin-a-rooney into a drop kick from the ground. It is an amazing. It looks like a mule kick almost.
I like the
phenomenal.
spin-a-rooney aspect of it.
Yeah, it's breakdancing, which I could not do as a child. I still probably can't. And martial arts. So there's my move. It's the spin-a-rooney drop kick from Jason Stillwell, aka Kurt McKinney from No Retreat, No Surrender. Boom.
Yeah. I mean, the fact is like, you guys, we take this movie for granted. I think Zach and I, because we talk about it so much, and it really is this film that if you have not seen it, if anyone listening hasn't seen it, you must see it as soon as possible, because it's hilarious. It's it's a great bad movie. It's a great bad movie.
It's our masterpiece. It's our first masterpiece.
It really is. It moves so well. It's incredibly enjoyable. There's all sorts of great backstory in terms of the this was the director. It was not really an English speaker, and so Kurt McKinney's he's getting directed via translator, and everyone on set is speaking in their own language, like literally speaking their own different languages, Korean, Mandarin, and you can tell, and so there's some dubbing that's put in there when Bruce Lee's ghost comes back and teaches him how to fight, but it's.
It's amazing.
I don't
amazing.
consider any of this spoiler because I'm never going to watch this movie.
Diallo, you're missing out. It is bad, it's good.
I would rarely say, I encourage you to watch something, really, knowing that you'll enjoy it. Corey's either frozen or his mouth is agape.
So the only connection I have to this film is one of my teachers in college was one of the producers on No Retreat, No Surrender 3. I believe it was Keith Strandberg. But here's the thing. I hope he's never listening to this. But it wasn't my teacher at Towson University. He was one of my teachers at community college in Maryland. So, not that there's anything wrong with that. But, I guess No Retreat, No Surrender Part 3 didn't really take him to new heights.
Well, we talked to when we talked to Kurt.
Did
McKinney
you talk to Keith
about all of this.
Strandberg?
We did not talk to Keith Strandberg, and we've actually been on the hunt for J.W. Fales, who plays RJ in the film. RJ is a phenomenal character. It is such a wacky movie, and in the moves itself, it's cool because it fuses in what he's learned from not just Bruce Lee's ghost, but his breakdancing friend RJ, who likes to sit on his crotch and eat ice cream sandwiches.
Never in my life did I think that's what was going to be. That's what that movie was going to be about. But okay.
Why don't I? Seeing how this is a marathon or a sprint with a relay race aspect to it, I'm going to pass my baton over to Diallo. Diallo, what's your martial art movie move or TV martial art move that you wish you could have done?
I had trouble with this, actually. I contemplated lots of different things. I thought about some anime, actually.
Good call.
There was an episode of Robotech where Lin May's cousin Kyle, was his name Kyle? He does this little laser thing out of his finger in a movie, but he's an a-hole and I don't really like him, so I wasn't going to do his move. And then I was thinking about some movies, and I don't know. I thought about Bloodsport because I really I always tried to do the splits that my man does. I literally tried to make myself become flexible by stretching that much, and I wish I had kept up with that because my hip flexors would be flexible and my back wouldn't give out all the time like it does if I had stuck with that. But I didn't really want to do that one. And then I thought about it, and I thought about this movie, and we all know this character Danielson, right? And there's a scene.
Danielson.
I don't know Danielson. I know Danielson.
I love it. Danielson.
Danielson, it's like his last name.
You can all go to hell. And so there's a scene where he's in a tournament, right? And he has to fight this guy from Cobra Kai, right? And he has to do this move. And it's not the movie you're thinking about because I'm thinking about Karate Kid 3.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
And I remember it he does this. It's like he practices this kata the entire part of the movie, and at the very end, instead of doing the crane kick and instead of doing the drum roll punch, he just does this meditation kata thing and he starts moving his arms around, like almost like he's breakdancing. And his opponent, I forget the character's name.
It's Bad Boy Barnes, played by Sean Kanan.
Yeah,
Barnes.
he's on the other side, and everyone's like, "What the hell are you doing?" It's like he's freaking him out. And I used to watch that one scene over and over and over and over again, just that, because there was like this weird flow he did, and I actually tried to like kind of like memorize it, and I never could. And then so that's my move. I wish I could do Daniel's final kata before he does his little move to get his 1 point that he needs.
Well,
So-
and doesn't he
Yeah.
use it to like
that.
block the guy's hits and whatnot? I haven't seen part 3
No.
in forever.
Nope.
No, he doesn't
Nope.
do it. He just does.
Nope.
He just like channels all this energy or whatever, and he's like getting into the flow, and then he like takes his stance after he does it. But it's like it feels like it's like a full minute of him
Yeah.
just like doing his kata. It's like, yeah. And then he finally like takes his stance, and then Barnes rushes him, and then he kind of like dodges him and drops an elbow on him, kind of like Macho Man. The people's elbow, the Daniel's elbow.
Well, it's fitting that you chose that because, Dustin, what's our connection to that particular move?
I want to just comment on Daniel's like ability to kind of win fights by just flustering his opponent with some visual thing that like they've never seen before. You know, like it's just a funny thing, like the idea of like the mind games or something where suddenly it's like, what is Daniel doing? You know, like Mike Barnes is just so incredibly, I can't fight anymore. I can't fight. He's too focused. Sean Kanan was a guest on our show. He talked a lot about, your karate's a joke, LaRusso, and how that particular movie changed his life. And we have gone deep into Daniel's, filmography when we did a bunch of, what do we do? Like top five Karate Kid moments, I believe.
Top 5 Karate Kid moments with Derek Wayne Johnson, who directed the documentary about John G. Avildsen, Underdog, which is a great.
Yes.
If you're a fan of John G. Avildsen, you'll be a fan of that. You should check out that documentary. But I think that scene that you're talking about, Diallo, that was one of your top 5, wasn't it? Was it not, Dustin?
No.
Oh,
No.
Go fuck
was
yourself,
it
Zach.
I thought it was. I thought it factored in.
Absolutely not.
It factored in. So if it wasn't
There's
yours,
there's like 3 great moments in the whole franchise. Like how could you have more than?
oh no, it's like literally little things. It's little subtle things, Like
did you include the one with Will Smith's kid?
No, we did not
No.
include the next Karate Kid or the Karate. I think one of the top 5 moments was when Mr. Miyagi gives Daniel the car for his birthday in Karate Kid 1.
Whoa.
And just that moment that they share between the two of them was a very heartfelt moment and stuff like that. So anyways, you guys can go back to that episode. I think it's fantastic that you chose that
Yeah.
particular move.
No, my moments are like when Daniel's singing like bebop baloo or like whatever he's not singing that, but he's singing, he's singing something really dumb and, but yeah, I think that's a great choice, and you took us on a little journey.
So, question: was the next Karate Kid with Hilary Swank, was that still a part of the Daniel LaRusso canon, essentially?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the only true, like as of right now, the only true reboot / remake is the one with what's his
Jackie
Yeah,
Chan.
Jackie Chan.
Yeah, Jackie Chan.
Okay.
But it's like, and they could easily say it still happened, and
Yeah.
Okay. Well, oh yeah,
In
it's
the
like it
universe
doesn't
that they
negate
want to.
anything, sort of thing.
yeah. I still hope
No.
somebody shows up in the Cobra Kai. It'll trigger everybody. I love it.
Don't be surprised if that happens.
Love it.
Corey, why don't we jump over to Corey? Corey, what's your?
Hey, can I ask you guys a question, because I feel like this is kind of relevant. Were you all students of martial arts?
Yes, I actually took ninjutsu in the mid 90s. I was probably about 15 or 16, and I only did it for about a year. I specifically, so it had to have been after Mortal Kombat the movie, because I specifically took ninjutsu because that's the form that Sub-Zero uses in the movie. And I really was only there for the cool little ninja booties. I had a pair of my ninja booties, and I love them. And that was probably the thing I was most excited about. So yes. Now, have I ever been in a fight in real life? No, I haven't. I'm a lover, not a fighter.
What about you, Diallo? Diallo, did you do any martial arts back in the day?
No, I wanted to like really bad. I pleaded with my parents to let me take them, and my parents, very religious, and they have somehow got it in their heads that it would like. I remember my dad saying like, we don't want you exposing you all this crazy stuff, you know. And so I never got to do it. And then years later, they signed my brother up to do martial arts. And
Come on.
I thought you were going to say, and I still experienced all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's a champion.
yeah, he's a 5-time karate champion. No, I'm just kidding. He's not.
Five-time.
Karate Man champion.
Yeah, that's the story of my life. It's like when I wanted to get a Nintendo and I had to fight to get it, and they wouldn't let me get it. And then a couple years later, like I'm pulling Christmas gifts out of the car, and there's a Nintendo for my brother.
Damn it.
Oh my god.
You're like, that's me,
Oh, my
right?
God.
That's why I hate the 80s. Actually,
Zach, did you ever Karate Man anything?
I did. I took 2 years of Kempo karate in Mountain View with a guy. It was called Fred Villari's United Studios of Self-Defense. Later became United Studios of Self-Defense. Turns out Cynthia Rothrock used to have a dojo here in Southern California. United Studios of Self-Defense. It was a chain, right? I was inspired obviously by Bloodsport, Best of the Best, No Retreat, No Surrender, and just earned my green belt in that, green belt. And I wish I kept up with it because I really enjoyed it.
It's not too late. Get back in.
Never too late. How about you, Dustin? Did you ever toe dip into martial arts?
And now you can get taught by Don the Dragon or Richard
Norton.
Richard Norton. I was like Richard. It's like
take
Richard
from Richard
Branson. Very different. Richard Tyson, also very
Richard
different.
Chamberlain. Richard Chamberlain.
Yes, I started like most kids at karate birthday parties, where at the mall or whatever, where they give you a little taste of kicks and punches for 30 minutes or whatever. But having loved martial arts, movies, I was like, I need to go a little deeper. I went away to sleepaway camp when I was 14, and the arts and crafts guy was also teaching judo, so I signed up for judo. And on the first day, he was like, "Judo's kind of lame. Why don't we do ninjutsu? Because I'm same thing, right? I'm a ninja, Marty the ninja,
Yeah.
Marty the arts and crafts ninja from London." And Marty was like,
Amazing.
"Would you like to learn how to kill a man?" And I was like, I don't know that I'm ready to kill a man, Marty. But yeah. So it was like, it was a lot of rolls. It was diving through, baseball bats and stuff, like these little things and windows and rolls and murder and a lot of murder. And and we, and he was teaching us one way. And then I remember there was a kid in the class. This is just coming back to me. He was like a black belt taught by his father. And there was a kickboxing class, and the kickboxer was this real aggro dude, and he wanted his guys to fight us, like spar with us. Wow. And the black belt, kid, was like, I don't want to fight. And then the kickboxing, guy was like, no, come on, you're a black belt. Like, don't be a pussy, because, 80s. And, or maybe it was 90s. Either way, the black belt kid got injured, and then he was crying, and it was a bad scene. But anyway,
So this is like a real life, like Cobra Kai scenario you had going on.
It was a little bit. I mean, it wasn't like there weren't that many people, taking it. Like the ninjutsu group had like 6 of us, and then the kickboxing group had like 7 of them, and then they really wanted to spar, and
it didn't turn into a whole school fight like Cobra Kai.
No.
But,
No, but it could have. It could have. Like the kickboxing dude really wanted it to be like that. And then I got back from camp, and I was still into it, so I studied a little further. I'd get all those magazines, and read about the Guardian Angels and Curtis Sliwa, who's apparently not a great dude.
No, unfortunately.
Evidently. But yeah, and Black Belt magazine and all that stuff. So I was really into it, but never practiced really beyond high school.
At some point with the 80s Kids Unite, we're going to have to talk about ninjas, just a general topic of ninjas, because there was so much ninja stuff back in the 80s.
I mean, sincerely, everyone listening to the show, if you want to suggest a topic like ninjas, sign up to our Patreon, and I'm sure the links are in our show notes, so that's where you can find them. But yeah, we definitely have to do a one on ninjas. I'm curious, Corey, what is your martial art move that you wish you could do?
That kind of ties into the whole ninja discussion. So being a fat kid growing up, I was never, I knew I couldn't do anything that I saw in the movies. And on top of that, I didn't watch a lot of like karate movies and stuff growing up. I had a friend who was very much that kid in the 80s that had the throwing stars, had the black belt magazines, all this kind of stuff, So I would watch some karate movies with him, but he would also be, he was my friend that would also like fall asleep at like 8 or 9 o'clock to Giallo. And then I would stay up till like 2 a.m. But while I didn't watch a lot of karate movies, even though I did see Karate Kids 1, 2, and 3 in the theater, I did play a lot of video games. And so I kind of have two moves, but you'll see that they're connected. I played the hell out of both the Ninja Gaiden arcade game and the vastly different Ninja Gaiden NES game. The NES game came out in 89, 88 in Japan on the Famicom, but in 89 on the NES by Tecmo. And I loved that opening cinematic so much.
It's so good.
And it was the first time I ever saw an opening cinematic like that. It blew my mind. And I always wish, even though I knew it was like high fantasy and everything like that, I always wish that I could do the jump up in the air, slice, and then both you guys land, and then the other dude falls over. You know what I mean? And I remember playing as a kid. I'd pretend that we'd be jumping in the air and slicing. And like I said, I was very much aware that like everything else was beyond me as a fat little kid in the 80s. I just couldn't do it. And I had no real interest. But I loved pretend, and I loved video games and everything. And to a lesser degree, the arcade version, I always liked when he grabbed onto the signpost and then kind of did that spin flip and, he would just kick guys. I always thought that was like so cool. But if I had to go with one of them, I always loved that Ninja Gaiden opening cinematic when they jumped in the air, they sliced, and then one dude fell. And I always thought that was cool as hell.
So cool.
Dustin, were you a Ninja Gaiden video game fan as a kid?
I sure was. And as you were talking, I was thinking about the Nintendo Power Up issue that was like devoted.
I had it. I had that.
To the game. And I mean, it was like really one of the first games I feel like that had, cutscenes. Right? Like, so it was really... it was really cool. And you realized, I need to watch these to understand what's going on in the game. I don't, because you just want to skip. You're like, I just want to play the next thing.
And the graphics were so good on the cutscenes.
The graphics were so good. And I remember reading that Nintendo Power and finding like, there's a quicker way to beat this guy. Or like, there's a quicker way to do what I'm trying to do.
Cheat code. Yeah.
Not even so much a cheat code, right? Just like, just strategy. Just duck down and
Dustin got I worked for my victories.
No, I didn't work for him. I mean, I had a Game Genie. I've talked about this, which you could just hack the whole thing and do all sorts of ridiculous things.
No, but it's like a technique you could do in the game to so
right. Just like, what's the quickest way to do this? And not that I was doing like a speed run or anything like that.
No.
But the better you got at that game, right, the faster you could get through.
Yeah, because a lot of those NES games you had to beat on one go round anyways because they didn't have any save features.
Didn't have saves.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Yeah, big fan of that game.
Yeah.
And that soundtrack too is great too for Ninja Gaiden.
Oh man.
For sure.
Stuck in my head.
Yeah.
Stuck in my head. Okay, Dustin, bring us home. What's your final?
Well,
oh,
I mean,
go ahead.
Dak or Diallo, did you guys play Ninja
Oh.
Gaiden?
I played the hell out of that game. I love that game, and yeah, that was one I would play countless nights with my brother. And then there was like a sequel, I think that came
there was-
out.
Yeah, Ninja Gaiden 2,
five,
then
yeah.
Ninja Gaiden 3.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
then
I
that
loved it. I
updated
loved
one.
it. I loved the whole storyline. I think I went down a rabbit hole when Bodhi started getting into video games and started seeing like all the variations of Ninja Gaiden as well, which I didn't realize there were so many
yeah.
because I kind of tapped
Oh,
out.
yeah. That
you know?
franchise went on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Diallo? Because not having. So, I mean, were you able to play Ninja Gaiden?
yeah, I mean, I did get a Nintendo.
Oh, yeah,
It
your-
just was like
your
it
brother
was like
did.
a battle.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I eventually I got one, but it was like a week long. Like I had to like fight to get it, and then I finally got it after a lot of tears. And anyways,
Bastard.
yeah, and then then I played. I had that. I remember Top Gun.
Yes.
We're not even talking about
Yes.
that, but yeah,
Yeah. That was great.
yeah.
Oh.
I could always land it too. I guess people couldn't land the ship or whatever.
Dude, I had no problem landing on the aircraft carrier. But my favorite part of Top Gun, sorry, you're
Humble
making my brain
brag.
go off. My favorite part of the Top Gun game was when you took the damage, you would have the bullet holes in the like the canopy, on the screen.
Yeah. I used to just like play the music at the beginning
Yeah.
with before the credits were rolling because that was the only way I could listen to the Top Gun theme.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have a soundtrack. Anyway, so yeah, I was obsessed with Ninja Gaiden when it was out. Like that, I can always think of like the first time, like story like injected itself into my life and like in like certain shows and certain like cartoons that I watched. And for video games, it definitely was Ninja Gaiden. And I just remember like I almost was there for the story more. I remember I can't quite remember what it was. There's like twists in it and turns, and I would actually really like to see a movie of that first like story,
Yeah.
the first game. And I think
I
the
know there was
second-
talk of it.
in the second game there was like I don't know. It was like, but it was cool.
Yeah.
Those games were cool. And it was like the Return of Jackio or whatever
Yeah.
his name was. Like, oh
Yeah.
god, I just remember. I remember when I beat it. It was just like, oh my, I couldn't believe I beat it because it was like a really difficult game. And then I played the newer ones too. That was like on Xbox
Yeah.
360
Yeah,
or
and they
whatever.
were so hard.
They were really. I mean, it was like a feature, right,
Yeah.
to make
Yeah.
them super hard.
Yeah.
But they actually were really well done also.
Yeah, because
So-
it was not hard, cheap hard. You just had
Yeah.
to put the time in to learn the moves and to learn the dodges and the parries, and it was
Yeah.
very rewarding, that one.
Yeah. So yeah, I was I was about that Ninja Gaiden life.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. Now we can move on to Dustin.
There you go.
Dustin, bring us home. What's your martial art move?
Well, being somebody that was really, really obsessed with, martial arts movies, there was one thing that would always come up that would always kind of, stop me in my tracks. It would make me take notice immediately. And that was the use of nunchucks. Bruce Lee, obviously, I think was
Michelangelo.
Michelangelo.
but Bruce Lee, I think, was probably the first one to do it, and for me, to see, and this month over on Tudor Leafy, we've been covering The Last Dragon, and we had an interview with Glenn Eaton, who plays Johnny in that movie, and Johnny, there's a moment in that movie where Johnny picks up the nunchucks, and Johnny is this character who is not very good at fighting. Right? He goes to all the classes. He's been studying for a long time, but he's mastered the quote-unquote art of fighting without knowing how to fight. This is how he describes it. And there's a moment in the movie where everything kind of comes together for him. He sees the Matrix, if you will. He realizes he does know how to fight. And he picks up the nunchucks and he goes through this elaborate routine. And, all of his friends are kind of rejoicing. And between that moment in the movie and then no shit, like Michelangelo in the 1990 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where he puts on quite a display as a guy in a costume, which is even more impressive, right? Because you're wearing this foam thing and you can still twirl those things. But those I could never master. Now, did I devote hours to it? No. Did I have like a plastic set? Yeah. But there's something even to this day about somebody who picks up, it's like watching art to me. It's like somebody who beautifully handles the nunchucks. And, there were all the kids who would call them numchucks. And you'd be like, it's not numb, you idiot, you numbskull. Stop calling them numchucks. It's making me crazy. But again, Black Belt Magazine, the back of those magazines having all the throwing stars, the swords, the professional weapons, and always kind of wanting, like, what would it be like? And of course, I know, like, if I were to get a real set, I would be black and blue. I would injure myself. I would absolutely injure myself.
I can attest to that. My Karate Man friend, growing up with the Black Belt magazines, he had a real set of, nunchucks, sorry. And, man, I hit myself in the head once, and I was like, okay, not for me, because that fucking hurt.
It hurts.
Yeah.
I had a friend in high school that actually, he had taken Hapkido, actually. But he was really good too. And I remember he had some nunchucks, and I actually remember him doing a whole deal. And he was like one of those, like it wasn't like super intricate, but just, he was getting, he was doing the thing. And I was like, damn, that's crazy.
Doesn't take a lot.
To impress us.
Yeah.
When
those things are heavy though.
Yeah,
so
they're not light. Yeah,
so it's like I would be scared, just like you said, Corey, like to hit myself.
It hurts.
But he was like flipping it around, going through his legs, around his shoulders. It's crazy.
I imagine it's kind of like learning how that, like the butterfly knife thing. Like, you're gonna eventually, nick yourself. And I say that as someone who, after Out of Sight with George Clooney, where he does his character thing is he takes the Zippo and kind of flicks it open. I had such a man crush on George Clooney at the time. I learned that, but it took me like a solid week of like shooting the Zippo, across the sky, into my face. But after doing it for so long, after I'd learned it, I can pick up a Zippo right now and fucking do it. It's like muscle memory at this point. But same fucking thing, and I chose that over, destroying myself with nunchucks.
Well, someone finally came to the realization to make those soft foam nunchucks that they now sell for kids, but they didn't have those. I don't remember those being out in the 80s.
Fuck you, fuck kids
I remember
in the
it
80s.
just being the wooden ones. But I feel like in the 80s, I was the guy in, it's either Fist of Fury or Chinese Connection, but it's some Mama Luke who picks up the nunchucks after Bruce does his demonstration, and he like hits himself in the face, just like a doofus. I'm like, yep, that was me. That was me.
Yeah. Yeah, and
that's a great move.
And to kind of tie it back into like my favorite stuff, I mean, I'll have to say, Michelangelo, fellow chucker, eh? Like, that's probably my
fellow chucker,
my favorite nunchuck scene in a movie, aside from like Bruce Lee and whatnot. But like from my childhood, that's what I watched the most was TMNT.
He's like a fellow chucker,
hey.
eh? Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
That phrase lives rent free in my head ever since 1990.
It's amazing. I love that David Ullman was the one to bring up this topic for us, because David has joined us on. He's also a patron for Podcasting After Dark as well. Great supporter of both shows, and
thank you, David.
Great knowledge base of martial art films. So we want to know from you guys, like, what are some of your favorite martial art moves that you wished you could have done from the 80s? Go to our Instagram and, attach to this post Like, let us know. Let us know. If you're on Patreon, let us know on Patreon. Actually, that's even the best way to do it. Support our shows by signing up to Patreon and chime in. And if you have a topic like David did or Magdalena, you guys can suggest a topic to us, and we will, with future episodes, we will roll those out for you.
Yeah, this is fun. I like this. I like getting a chance to, record with all three of you guys, and then hopefully Paul in the future.
Paul will be
he'll
here,
come,
by the way.
He'll come back. But
yeah.
this is fun
We'll
that we all
rebuild
get to
him.
kind of do it together.
We will rebuild him.
And
Working on the algorithm, the Paul algorithm, getting my mechanics down. We're going to get the servo motors ready. We can rebuild him.
especially since I only get to record with Dustin once a year, pretty much. So this is a nice way for us to hang out once a month, and Diallo and I to hang out twice a month, because we'll still be doing TV Obscura.
Diallo seems sad about that.
Diallo's like, that's too
Diallo's
much.
like, wait, what?
I mean, I didn't hear about this now. Just kidding.
I got to do two now.
Two.
And I want to let everybody know too that this month is obviously a themed month for Martial Art Madness. When it comes to $2 late fee, we covered Last Dragon with Craig Sutton, who runs the Last Dragon Tribute page website, and we had an interview with Glenn Eaton, who plays Johnny in The Last Dragon, and we're going to wrap up our month on with Territory Marks being martial art based, but then starting back in April, it could be whatever you want, any topic. It's totally open. So wild card month moving forward.
And just to let you all know, when this episode drops, I will be in Japan with my wife, and I will be learning karate when I'm there.
Nice.
Well, keep an eye out for ninjas.
Yes.
And if you happen to see Sho Kasugi there with that amazing
Yes.
sweater from Return of the Ninja Part
Yeah.
3, get it, steal it from him.
I
Steal
will.
it from him.
I will.
Nihongo e ikimasu.
I think we should end it.
That's
at that.
all you need.
What did you say, Diallo?
I said that just says I'm going to Japan. That's all.
Oh, there you go. Perfect. Yeah, we can.
All right. Are we pressing stop?
Yeah, that's
funny.
great of an outro as anything else.
80s Kids Unite is brought to you by Hungry Hungry Hippos, the loudest tabletop game in history. And by Nickelback, Zach's favorite band. If you'd like to suggest topics for this show, go to the Patreon of either $2 Late Fee or Podcasting After Dark, or both. All links are in the show notes. We love you.